Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mayi Ki Jai. Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Saraswati Mataji, for the opening kirtan. And welcome to everybody for Sri Caitanya-caritamrta class with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Thursday, February 22nd in New York, and we're starting tonight, according to my notes anyway, with Adi Lila, chapter 7, and we are in the purport to text number 121. It's quite a long purport. Each paragraph of the purport has a lot of weight to it, so we didn't get much more than one paragraph into the purport. So very happy that Maharaj could join us this evening. And we'll start off with, we'll read the verse, and then we'll start off with the second paragraph of the purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Caitanya-caritamrta Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 121. Vyasara sutrete kahi parinamavada. Vyasa branta balitara uthaila vivada. In his Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasadeva has described that everything is but a transformation of the energy of the Lord. Shankaracharya, however, has misled the world by commenting that Vyasadeva was mistaken. Thus, he has raised great opposition to theism throughout the entire world. So, picking up with the second paragraph of the purport here. In the Brahma Sutra, second chapter, the first aphorism is as follows. Tad anyat ananyatvam arambhana shabdadibhya. Commenting on this sutra in his Shariraka Bhashya, Shankaracharya has introduced the statement Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam from the Chandogya Upanishad 6.1.4 to try to prove that acceptance of the transformation of the energy of the Supreme Lord is faulty. He has tried to defy this transformation of energy in a misguided way, which will be explained later. Since his conception of God is impersonal, he does not believe that the entire cosmic manifestation is a transformation of energies of the Lord. For as soon as one accepts the various energies of the Absolute Truth, one must immediately accept the Absolute Truth to be personal, not impersonal. A person can create many things by the transformation of his energy. For example, a businessman transforms his energy by establishing many big factories or business organizations. Yet he remains a person, although his energy has been transformed into these many factories or business concerns. The Mayavadi philosophers do not understand this simple fact. Their tiny brains and poor fund of knowledge cannot afford them sufficient enlightenment to realize that when a man's energy is transformed, the man himself is not transformed, but remains the same person. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitangs Tangs Ajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitangs Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here Prabhupada is getting into the nuts and bolts of the faults of Shankaracharya's arguments. He's bringing up various verses from the Brahma Sutra and pointing out the faults in Shankaracharya's misuse of a certain passage from the Chandogya Upanishad to show how somehow or other Vyasadeva is mistaken. But Prabhupada goes on to say that he's giving the Mayavadis no respite here. He says they have tiny brains and a poor fund of knowledge because they can't understand this one basic example. The Shankaracharya denies that the absolute truth is personal and that the energies of the absolute truth transform. And Prabhupada is saying it's a very simple point. Once you accept that there are energies, then there must be a source of energies. We don't see anywhere that there's an energy with no source. Energies have their source in persons. So he gives the example of a businessman whose energies transform into all kinds of different manifestations of the man's business, but the person himself is still the same person. But apparently there's some trouble grasping this on the part of certain Mayavadi philosophers. And I'm certainly not any kind of Vedic scholar, so I can't comment at all on the verses quoted from the Brahma Sutra or Chandogya Upanishad. I just find it remarkable. Prabhupada says this in one of his purports, I believe in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that the personalist and the impersonalist will fight with one another perpetually. And I was thinking, that's interesting because in the world of science, I'm told, there are various schools of thought and they fight with one another. But over time, what happens in that arena is that one theory is fancied for a while, thrown around, played with, accepted as valid or teachable. And then a few decades down the line, or even a few centuries or less, someone else comes along with a better theory that becomes fashionable for the day, and then the other theories go away. But these, the conflict apparently between impersonalists and personalists has been going on for a very long time and is not likely to end. And I find that very interesting because you'd think that if one person has the conclusive truth, it would just be accepted. But no, Apparently not. There's always going to be a class of persons who are more apt to accept the impersonal manifestation as the supreme, and are not able to cognitively progress any further than that. So it seems to be a constant struggle on the part of the Vaishnavas to bring the person of Krishna to the fore and point out these very simple points, as Prabhupada's pointing out here, that when there's energy, there's a source of the energy. And when there's a source of the energy, there must be a person. There must be a conscious being. That's what we see in nature, that we see actions of physical structures, and behind the actions, there's a will, there's an intent, there's an intention on the part of some conscious being or other. Things on one level do move according to physical laws, but behind the physical laws, there's always some motive, there's always some consciousness. And this was Prabhupada's exhortation to the Bhaktivedanta Institute people to try to put this across in contemporary language, at least so that some people would benefit. But apparently, those with tiny brains and poor funds of knowledge are going to go on that way until they get a better idea. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, we'd love to hear what you said. We'd love to hear what you might have to say on this particular paragraph. There's a lot there.
The essential argument here is that, or the essential thesis is that Vyasadeva is teaching Parinamvad. The underlying issue is that the absolute truth can't change. The absolute truth is immutable, avikarya, can't be altered, it can't be bent, changed. It's immortal and immortally the same. So then the question comes, if there's only one absolute truth and it's not subject to change or transformation, then how do you get the material world with its varieties? How do you get living beings all different? That's the question, the underlying question. How is there variety when there's supposed to be absolute oneness? And Vyasadeva answers this by saying that the absolute truth has diverse energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate, Svabhavaki Jnana Balakriyacha. So those energies automatically do whatever is needed. They're diverse, and they bring about the diverse transformations or diverse manifestations. They bring about the diversity we find everywhere. So for Vyasadeva, that solves the problem. And Prabhupada gives the examples here. A businessman remains the same businessman, but his energies do everything in terms of his various business concerns. So that's Vyasadeva's answer to the question. But Shankaracharya is not satisfied with that answer. He has another answer because Prabhupada says he wants to stick to an impersonal conception of the absolute truth. And as soon as we accept that there's energies, well, there's going to be a controller of those energies. So now you're going to have personalism, which Shankaracharya wants to avoid. So Shankaracharya puts forward another theory, which we'll find in the course of the discussion.
Jai Maharaj, thank you very much. Saraswati Mata says, Pranams, sometimes scientists who are arguing their point eventually agree that something can ultimately be both whatever their point is and the opposing party's point too, or some hybrid. Here it is stated that the Lord is both personal and impersonal. Yeah. So we have a long purport here, and just I want to say, let's be nice if we could take turns reading sections of it. And if you have some comments, that's great. But they're not absolutely required. So we'd like to hear you read in any case. I was going to see if Ross Prabhu would like to read paragraph 3 here in text 121. Is that something you can do?
I would love to, Prabhu, but I'm about to be on the move with my training, so it'll
Looks
be
like
difficult.
you are. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So, sorry. Yeah.
Good to see you. Hare Krishna. Davi's child has a comment or a question. Let's see. He says, Hare Krishna. There were many fights between personalites also. First I've heard that term, personalites. We are not perfect either. Millions died, including many innocents, women and children, all because not being able to accept that Krishna could have another form, wear a different dress, even have different names. But we call him, he is still Krishna. He will come to the devotee for sure.
Well, I'm looking at this paragraph that you're giving here. It's underlying, it seems to be sort of this a motif almost in modern discourse to the effect that there's huge wars that are created over religion, my God against your God. And so millions die over these sectarian principles. And I tend to think that that's a false narrative or an exaggerated narrative, exaggerated and often to the point of false. It's rare that people will fight over such considerations. And it's common that people will fight over resources. They fight over land, they fight over money, they fight over power, they fight over sense gratification. And then religion is invoked as a motivator or as a cover. We say it was about the Protestants and the Catholics, but really it was about class divisions and who has what. So if you look at the recent wars, the Gulf Wars, well, we'll leave aside the Gulf War we'll take the Gulf War. That wasn't about religion, although religion was made out to be, the dominant feature. But really, underlying it was resources, geostrategy, petroleum, control of crucial territory, and so on. And then excuses were brought in. This is about religion. This is about terrorism. This is about nuclear weapons of mass destruction, and so on, to cover your tracks, essentially. World War II certainly wasn't about religion. Korean War wasn't about religion. Vietnam War wasn't about religion. World War I wasn't about religion. Falklands War wasn't about religion. So, all of these wars and wars and wars and millions dying and so on, all because of religion. I tend to think that's not the real story. That said, there may be those who fight over religious issues. They're called neophyte devotees. the neophyte devotee who thinks that God is only present in his temple and not in other places, and so on. In Bharat itself, there was fights between Vaishnavisms and Shaivites, different ways of worship. People still remember them to some extent. And I'm not the expert on Indian history, but I suspect that the same principles are often involved. That it's a fight between the Vaishnavas and the Shaivites, and really it's a fight between this government and that government, this king and that king, and it's made out to be all about Shiva and Vishnu. Not to say that there can't be some truth in it, but one suspects that that's not the whole story. How many people are really willing to lay down their lives for Shiva over Vishnu or Vishnu over Shiva, and go to battle over that? There tends to be these things are brought in as motivators. These things are brought in as motivators. And people who are neophytes get motivated. Yeah, we got to go after these people because they don't belong to our religion, or they don't belong to our country, or they don't belong to our part of the country, or whatever it is. But those who are advanced in God consciousness don't have that view.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Saraswati Mata says, conditional souls have the propensity to fight, argue, show aggression, etc. So how are these tendencies displayed in a pure form in the spiritual world, since everything originates from there?
Oh, they fight like anything. Coward boys are always at it. There's contests, there's fights, there's wrestling, there's winners and losers. There's taunting and all of that stuff. It's all there in the spiritual world. So those who want to fight and argument, there's plenty of argument also. Even in the spiritual world, you're not going to miss anything.
No. Devi's child says, it took many saints of many sects to come together. A consensus was formed to worship in one's way, but not criticize other ways of worship, but still there is fights. If we refuse to accept the problem, the solution to it will never be found.
Yeah, the problem is a lack of Krishna consciousness. When there's actually Krishna consciousness, then there's no need of fighting over material designations. Those who are advanced in God consciousness don't do that.
Aye. Dana Mataji, would you like to read the third paragraph of this verse? Is that something you're able and willing to do? Do you have the verse there? If not, then Saraswati Mata, could you read paragraph 3?
Okay. Not believing in the fact that the energy of the Absolute Truth is transformed, Shankaracharya has propounded his theory of illusion. This theory states that although the Absolute Truth is never transformed, we think that it is transformed, which is an illusion. Shankaracharya does not believe in the transformation of the energy of the Absolute Truth, for he claims that everything is one and that the living entity is therefore also one with the Supreme. This is the Mayavad theory. Do you want me to continue?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Srila Vyasadeva has explained that the Absolute Truth is a person who has different potencies. Merely by his desire that there be creation and by his glance, sa akshata, he created this material world, sa ashrajata. After creation, he remains the same person. He is not transformed into everything. One should accept that the Lord has inconceivable energies and that it is by his order and will that varieties of manifestations have come into existence. In the Vedic literature, it is said, Sa tattvato nyayata buddhir vikarya iti udharta. This mantra indicates that from one fact, another fact is generated. For example, a father is one fact, and a son generated from the father is a second fact. Thus, both of them are truths, although one is generated from the other. This generation of a second, independent truth from a first truth is called vikara, or transformation resulting in a byproduct. The Supreme Brahma is the Absolute Truth, and the energies that have emanated from him and are existing separately, such as the living entities and the cosmic manifestation, are also truths. This is an example of transformation, which is called vikara or parinama. To give another example of vikara, milk is a truth, but the same milk may be transformed into yogurt. Thus, yogurt is a transformation of milk, although the ingredients of yogurt and milk are the same. Do you still want me to continue?
Let's pause there, and I'm hoping that if you have some comments, or if not.
Well, I just don't understand this stubborn nature of the Mayavadis to just entertain the idea that the Lord can be both. He can be both impersonal and personal, and he has all these inconceivable energies that are transforming from one thing to another. But yet the Lord himself and the living entities, who are also the marginal energy, can remain independent, and then the living entities, who are the marginal energies, they have their own constitutional occupation. So I don't understand why they're so stubborn and they can't entertain that idea that both things can exist. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Maharaj, we'd love to hear if you have some comments on this verse.
We find in the first paragraph read that Prabhupada introduces Shankaracharya's alternative explanation. We've read that Vyasadeva has given a parinamvad. The Absolute Truth is unchanging. The Absolute Truth is always as he is, but he has energies which transform. And so the unchanging nature of the Absolute Truth is preserved. But Shankaracharya has a different doctrine, Vivartavad. He thinks that no, it's not that everything is a transformation of the energies of Brahma. Brahma's devoid of energies. Brahma's absolutely homogeneous, and it's by illusion that all of these varieties appear to exist. This is called Vivartavad. The absolute, there's only the Absolute Truth, Eka Brahma Dvitiya Nasti Sarvakalavidam Brahma. There's only Brahma, and Brahma's impersonal. In Brahma, there's no duality, so there's no variety, there's no individuality. There's only the all-pervasive, impersonal oneness. Then why do we have variety? Shankaracharya says we're only imagining it. It's only by illusion that this appears to be so. We're imagining essentially that these varieties exist, but in fact, there's only the absolute Brahma. We're imagining that we're individuals, that each one of us is separate, but in fact, Tattvamasi, you're not different from Brahma. Soham, I am also Brahma. So there's really only this one absolute truth without any variety. Transformations are illusory. Nothing is really going on except by illusion. It appears to be going on, but it's not. So that's Shankaracharya.
Morning, sir.
So that's Shankaracharya's doctrine, Vivartavad. And Prabhupada will have more to say about that as we go along.
Thank you, Maharaj. And Saraswati Mata comments that Shankaracharya and his followers are in reality in illusion about his theory of illusion. And Devi's child says, if Krishna is ultimate, has the unlimited power, what is preventing him from appearing in both forms? He also gave the word that he will appear as the devotee prefers to worship him. Why do we have to condemn other ways of worship? We are still human and could make mistakes. Isn't it better to let Krishna decide how to appear to his devotees?
Well, there's different things here. Certainly, he's unlimited. He can appear in unlimited forms. Why both forms? Many. And we can, what's the word? Okay, looks like we're in for some interesting, perhaps Zoom bombing. We'll find out about that. So he can appear in multiple forms. That's not difficult for Krishna. But still, Krishna himself makes distinctions. He doesn't say, well, whatever form, it's all the same. There's no difference. If you want to worship a demigod as being absolute, that's fine. If you want to worship yourself as being absolute, that's fine. To a certain extent, he accepts it. Yes, you can worship a demigod. It's not forbidden in Vedic literature. You can worship yourself. That's not forbidden. Aham grahopasana. But Krishna says it's less intelligent. It's less intelligent. If you worship the demigods, tepi mame vakantya, you're just worshiping me. Fine. But avidipurvakam, the wrong way. You're doing it the wrong way. Similarly, you worship yourself. All right, you're in the beginning, you're accepting that aham brahmasmi, I'm Brahma, and so I have divinity. So, all right, But that's not a very advanced understanding. That's, of course, more advanced than materialistic identification. But there's higher understanding. So from that point of view, Bhagavad Gita certainly gives a lot of scope for people to approach the Supreme in different ways, personally, impersonally. Even impersonally, Krishna doesn't say it's wrong. He just says, Klesho dikataras tejam avyakta sakta cetasa. You're going to go through a lot of needless trouble worshiping the absolute truth in that way. And he also says, Brahmanohi pratishtaham, I'm the basis of the impersonal absolute truth. So from that point of view, Vedic literature is quite flexible, accommodating, open. And so we find that in India, people have been worshiping all sorts of ways for all, centuries and centuries, millennia, and it's been accommodated. But then why these strong words? And it's so that we make progress. It's so that we make progress. When someone has reached a certain point and they're stuck, then we start speaking strongly. We're happy that he's reached a certain point. Till he reaches that point, we encourage him, yeah, keep going. But when he's stuck there for years and years and years, what are you still doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Just like we encourage marriage. We don't say marriage is terrible and never get married. You get married. Then if you're still married, 80 years later, then we have strong words. Vidura, he spoke strongly to Dhritarashtra. You've overstayed your visa. You've overstayed your visa. It's like India, you're welcome. Come on. We'll give you a visa, stay for 6 months. But if you overstay your visa, then they'll speak to you sternly. They'll invoke various sanctions. So there's so much diversity accepted, so much diversity accommodated in ways of worship, in objects of worship. And still Krishna himself is the person who speaks strongly. It's not the imperfect human beings who have invented these things. It's Krishna who says, Namam Dushkrita Namota Prapadyante Naradhama Maya Pratagyana Asura Pavamashrita. Prabhupada repeated it and he said, what can I do? It's not my saying, it's Krishna's saying. And what can we do?
Right. There's a thread here of conversation, but Devi Child is continuing. I'll read that before I get to Saraswati Mata's question. Devi's Child continues, but would Krishna prefer intelligence or pure love in worship if it came to it in the end? But it's the law of humans. Is it okay to compare the ways of us with the ways of Krishna because he isn't limited like us?
Well, let me get to your comment. Get my cursor where it's supposed to be. Finally, yes, Krishna prefers pure love. He's not against intelligence, but intelligence has its limits. So he sends Uddhava to Vrindavan. Uddhava was the most intelligent disciple of Brihaspati, philosophically astute and super intelligent, so much so that Krishna would consult Uddhava for advice. But Krishna sends him to Vrindavan to see the pure love of the Brajvasis, especially the gopis. So finally, it's love. Then it's the law of humans. Is it okay to compare our ways with Krishna's? Because he isn't limited like us. Yeah. So we're not going to dance with the gopis. We're not going to lift Govardhan Hill. We're not going to pretend to be Krishna. But the laws of religion are not human laws. Dharmam ishakshat bhagavat pranitam. The laws of dharma come from Krishna, not from human beings. And as you say, he's not limited like us. So he's made these laws of guidance for the human beings, just as the parents make the laws for the children. You can't watch television after 8 o'clock, or whatever the law might be. So the superiors and the subordinates are on different levels, certainly. But then, if someone repeats God's law, then you can't invoke the argument, well, you're just a human being. Why do I have to accept what you say? You're imperfect. So it's Krishna's saying. And when we repeat what Krishna says, then we're not acting on the platform of human imperfection. We're acting on the platform of perfect knowledge. So the worship of the formless may be less intelligent, but if they have pure love, even to a formless Krishna, however impossible it may seem to us, wouldn't Krishna accept it? Yeah, Krishna accepts what you refer to as their pure love. You have pure love for merging, so all right, merge. Krishna does accept it. Yeyatam mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyam. Krishna doesn't refuse. All right, you love, to use the word. Of course, love is a debatable term here, because when you want to obliterate the distinction between the lover and the object of love, then where love stands after that is questionable, because love means exchanges between the lover and beloved, and when you come to absolute identity between lover and beloved, has no meaning. But anyway, just working with the term, say, all right, they have pure love for a formless Krishna. Then Krishna, out of pure love, absorbs them into his effulgence. Yeyatam mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyam.
All right, Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. I may have missed the train of thought that produced this question, forgive me, but Saraswati Mata asks, I am confused how Uddhava could be a student of Brihaspati who is essentially following Mayavad philosophy, because Uddhava is an eternal associate of Lord Krishna.
He's a learned sage, so Uddhava, it's not a problem. Uddhava certainly doesn't take the position of an impersonalist. But he learns the philosophy from Brihaspati. So much there. Shall we move on?
Yes, let's move on. Let's see. I'll read the next paragraph. I'm pretty sure we are where in the Chandogya Upanishad, there is the following mantra. Aitadatmyam idang sarvam. This mantra indicates without a doubt that the entire world is Brahman. The Absolute Truth has inconceivable energies, as confirmed in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Rasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. And the entire cosmic manifestation is evidence of these different energies of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is a fact, and therefore whatever is created by the Supreme Lord is also factual. Everything is true and complete, Purnam. But the original Purnam, the complete absolute truth, always remains the same. Purnat Purnam Udachyate, Purnasya Purnam Adaya. The absolute truth is so perfect that although innumerable energies emanate from him and manifest creations which appear to be different from him, he nevertheless maintains his personality. He never deteriorates under any circumstances. As I'm reading this, it occurs to me that what Prabhupada is doing, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also doing, is that he's making it clear that the philosophy that's actually stated in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, it all makes sense from a transcendental perspective. There's a reality being described that includes, but is also beyond anything materially conceivable. Whereas what Shankaracharya seems to be doing is stopping right at the border of spirit and matter. And therefore, all of the ways in which he interprets and presents his philosophy completely sidestep anything transcendental, anything about the personality of God. And that's why Prabhupada is making this clear that, bringing up these points from Ishopanishad and Shvetashvatara Upanishad that really underscore the fact that you have to go beyond this, that basically Mayavad is a materialistic philosophy. Hare Krishna. Is there anything from this paragraph, Maharaj, that you'd care to comment on?
No, I think we can move on.
Okay, we're actually almost at time here. It's we've only got 5 minutes, and it's still a lot more to go in this purport as far as I can see. Yeah, the next paragraph is very long, so okay. Devi's child goes on, however, to say, isn't Krishna powerful enough to be able to receive the love of devotees even in a formless way?
We've answered that.
I thought so. All right. Thank you. Time for kirtan. Krishna Kanteya Prabhu, are you able to lead us in kirtan this evening?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Brahmsa Parirajakcharya Stotra Sat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, ISKCON Prana Acharya, Savior of the world, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna, Gopal Gopinath Shamakun, Radhakun, Giridovardhana ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Sri Guru and Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai, thank you so much, Krishna Kante Prabhu. And thank you so much, Maharaj, for being with us. Hare Krishna. And thank you, everyone, for all of your comments and participations. Sri Caitanya-caritamrta ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hope to see you all tomorrow for Srimad-Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.